Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. It is Angie B and it is still Vlogmas. Today we are making this beautiful, delicious, tasty pizza. Getting straight into the recipe, we are using 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You can also use bread flour or self-raising flour. I used all-purpose flour, and then I put a teaspoon of salt, followed by, actually, first we sieve this, and while we are sieving, if you aren't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. It is a big red button written subscribe. It is free. Also click the bell, which ensures that you guys get notifications every single time I post a video, and suggest whatever you want in the comment section below. Moving on to the next thing, I'm using instant yeast, and as you guys will notice as I'm making this pizza, it is quite an unconventional way because I love to change recipes around to make them taste how I want them to taste. So Italians, please don't come for me. So as you guys can see, I mixed everything up together with my wooden spoon, and I made a well in the center of the dough, of the flour, and now I'm just adding some warm water, 1 cup. So basically you want half of the amount of flour that you put. So if you're making a bigger one or a smaller one, just half the recipe. So I'm mixing that all together with my wooden spoon. I'm just incorporating that all together until it is nicely mixed. I'm not going to mix it until it forms the complete dough. I basically just want all the flour to be nicely absorbed, and as you guys can see at this point it is pretty well incorporated. And then I start to knead this with my hand. Make sure you wash your hands before you do this because you need your hands to be clean. And I know a lot of people say you have to knead this dough for at least 10 minutes, like set a timer so it's smooth. I prefer to just mix it until it's well incorporated and soft. And as you guys can see, I'm adding flour as needed. If the dough is sticking to your hands, that means you need to add a little bit more flour. It is always best to have the dough be a little bit too sticky than a little bit too hard, because when it's too hard or dry, even if you add water, it's not going to soften up. But if it's too soft, you just need to add a little flour and it's going to balance itself out. Now it's time to put some olive oil, and I just knead this into the dough. And after I continued kneading it, I felt the dough was still a little bit too sticky for me, so I went ahead and added a little bit more flour again. And after I'm done kneading the flour into the dough, you will see exactly how I do it. Guys, in the comment section below while we're doing this, tell me if you make your own pizza, if you've ever tried it. Is there anything special or different that you do compared to anyone else? I would love to know. So now that the dough is in a nice little circle like this, I pour more olive oil onto the top to make sure it doesn't form like any crust, and it keeps the dough nice and soft while it's rising. So now on the side here, I got this tea towel, and I'm adding warm water from the kettle, and you see that it looks like I'm wringing water out, but there's no actual water coming in. It's just coming out. It's just very, very little water that I put, so I was just making the whole towel warm and damp. And I will put this over the dough, and I let my dough sit on the side for about an hour. So now we are making the sauce. Now I'm making basically an instant marinara sauce kind of for the base of the pizza. When I have time, I would do this exact same thing I'm doing right now, but cook it. But this is the instant one, and I'm sure you'll appreciate something to be done quickly too. So I got this tomato paste, and then I added some water into the packet just to get out the little bit of excess tomato paste that was in there, and I just diluted it. Then I'm adding black pepper, salt, and then some dry basil, and then I mix it up all together, and the consistency that I have is the perfect consistency. You will see that after it's all mixed, this is the texture of sauce you want. You don't want it to be too thick because then you have like lumps of tomato paste in your food, and you don't want it to be too thin because then it's going to make the base soggy. Also, I forgot, I put a half teaspoon of sugar to cut off the acidity from the tomato. And now for the base, another unconventional thing. Sorry, I don't put flour on my pizza pan. I put olive oil again. I just see that it comes out better and it gives the dough a nice flavor and a nice little crisp. I'm using a silicone brush just to rub everything evenly in the pan. And now our dough has risen. As you guys can see, it is soft and fluffy. Before I roll it out, I like to pour a little bit more flour on it to make sure it's nice and soft and not sticky. And I just knead that in until it's the perfect consistency. I didn't add any more flour than what you see right here. And I incorporated all the flour that you see on the table into the dough, and it came out so nice and fluffy and soft. And then it is time to roll. And back to the thing I do on the pan, I do not roll my dough with flour, I roll it with oil. So I just put it all over the table, rub it around, and then I also put a little bit of oil on top so that the rolling pin doesn't stick. Yes, I do not stretch my dough with my hands or twirl the pizza and throw it in the air. I just roll it with a rolling pin because ain't nobody got time for that. And when I want to see if it's big enough for the pan, I just get the pan and put it over. If I can see the edges, then I know that the size is perfect. And then I just flap it over like a little blanket, get my pizza pan, and I just throw the dough over and I just stretch it around and make sure it fits. And then I go around the pan as I'm doing right now just to make sure that it fits nice and evenly and has a nice little like crust on the edges. And now it's time to put a little instant marinara sauce on the base. I felt very fancy here, like I was making the Pizza Hut logo. But you can honestly put this sauce on however you want. You can put a huge dollop in the middle. As long as you spread it out nice and evenly, that is all that matters. I was just being a little extra. Okay, so once your sauce is nice and evenly spread like so, you want to take this fancy little tool here and just make holes all over the pizza. I don't know what this thing is called, but it's for making holes on dough, and this just ensures that your pizza cooks evenly and doesn't rise in weird places, so some parts are cooked and some parts are not. If you don't have this tool, just make holes with a fork. Now for the toppings, I'm using onion, green pepper, two different types of olives, bacon, ham, and green pepper, if I didn't mention that. Anyway, I start with the onion and then I follow up with the peppers. You don't have to go in this order, but somehow I always find myself going in this order. And you don't want too much toppings, but you want enough to taste because too much just makes the pizza extra heavy and soggy, and no. So now I'm putting the ham on, spreading it evenly around the pizza, and as soon as I'm done with the ham, I follow up with the bacon. You don't have to use this. You can use whatever meat you actually like. You can use chicken. This is just the pizza I decided to make on this day, but you can use whatever the hell you want. Whatever toppings you like on your pizza, that's what you should go ahead and put. Now I am using two cheeses. I am using Lancewood cheddar. I just put it in a different bag, and Lancewood medium fat mozzarella. Now, that's what works for me because I like the taste and I'm lactose intolerant. And as you guys know, lactose intolerant people don't care about our lives because we like pizza and we just have to deal with the consequences. So, yes, now I went ahead and put the Lancewood mozzarella cheese. This cheese is so good. Like, I really, really like it. You can use full fat. This has nothing to do with being healthy or whatever because usually full fat is actually better than low fat. But for me, when things taste like less creamy, I prefer the taste. So I just spread this all over as well around. You don't want to put too little cheese because your pizza is going to be dry. You don't want to put too much cheese because it's just going to be disgusting. Too much of everything is bad too. So once this is done, it's time to put the olives. If you don't like olives, you need to grow up. No, I'm just kidding. I know it's pretty much an acquired taste, so you can put as little or as much olives as you want. As you guys can tell, I love olives, so I put a lot of green and black olives on the pizza, and now it is in the oven. This is a gas oven, and it is on the highest possible setting. So whatever setting your stove goes on, put it on the highest setting. I cooked my pizza for 12 minutes, but make sure you always check after 10 minutes because different ovens are different. This is what it looked like after 10 minutes, and then by the time I'm getting it out, it had been 12 minutes, and you guys can see the pizza is looking so good and juicy. The cheese is golden on the top. If your cheese is not golden on the top by the time you are done, make sure you switch on the grill just to do the top, and you can just wait for about 2 minutes and it should be done. But wait, we still have fresh basil. Now, you don't have to put this, but if you want to be extra, you can go ahead and do this. We always have basil in the garden, so I just picked some from the garden and put some on the pizza. I love basil, and it just makes the pizza look so like gourmet and fancy. And now it is time to cut the pizza. We use a regular pizza cutter. This is my mom doing this, by the way. I'm the one taking the video because I wanted to have this footage and make it more like vlog style, movement in the camera. So we cut the pizza into, yeah, I don't do math, but you guys can see that. And then I put it on a cooling rack because we like to let our pizza just air out just a little bit because I don't like soggy pizza. If you didn't subscribe already, What are you waiting for? Can't you see this good food I'm making? Please subscribe. Suggest what else you'd like me to cook or make on this channel, or if you just like my regular natural hair videos and all that, please suggest what you'd like to see. Hit the subscribe button if you didn't in the beginning, and watch the 2 suggested videos on the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!